if you need a framework how to speak to, let's say, your Filipino mom, your elder, if they're maybe more traditional, if you're Filipino American and you get irritated with the nonverbal ways that we communicate, when I say we, the Filipino immigrant, or you are in a relationship with someone who identifies as Filipino, so an interracial partnership, if you will. And I always get lots of questions around the other partner who's non-Filipino. Here's a framework. I call it the ruler method. It is simply a framework, so you use it as a guide. The reason for this is you simply can begin to stress yourself out and telling your mom, well, you shouldn't talk like this. Just tell me what you need. But the truth is, people have habituated in the way they speak. They speak for many, many reasons. Culturally, maybe that's the way they were taught by their parents. They feel unsafe to speak otherwise. They're afraid of something. Now, you could choose to be right, or you can choose to be effective. And so, one also important thing when you practice this is to remember that you could not change the other person, but you can only work on your responses. And so, honestly, this type of communication is helpful, not just if you're Filipino, but it's just anchored on good, compassionate way of understanding and speaking to another person. So choose to be effective. If you're in a place that you want to be more right, this framework will not work for you. It would work for you when you're ready. So learn to self regulate, to soothe your body first, because your energy coming into a conversation, that tone really predicts the outcome. So start with that first, and you can always come back. So ruler, okay, R is to recognize. So if your mom, your partner is doing the tampo. Tampo is a Pinoy love language. By the way, I wrote the ebook, Five Pinoy Love Languages, and there's also a course, the 7 Pinoy Love Languages. I link everything there, and link also the ebook. But ruler means to recognize. As far as tampo, tampo is someone not really getting upset, but getting their feelings hurt, and they want the other person to basically know that their feelings have been hurt. So if you ask your, let's just do an example of a partner, and suddenly she's not speaking, and she's usually very chatty. Um, Ours to recognize. If you just ask her, are you mad? She says no, and that's the end. You don't recognize. So the recognition is actually reading beyond what she's saying. So you're like, oh, no, I see that you're really upset. And then be open and be very curious. So this is for someone who wants to be effective rather than right. So you're going to label it because they refuse to label it, but you could recognize it. You could even say, I think you're upset if you're not sure. So that's the R. The next one is to uphold. So you might be pissed that you might recognize that, okay, they're upset, but you might be pissed. Why are you upset? Upholding is being in their shoes and understanding and upholding and validating their feelings. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Even though I was really busy at work, and I failed to call you and to let you know I'm running late. I was just really busy. You should understand. So when you talk like that, that might be your perspective, but upholding is upholding also the other person's perspective. Oh, I see. Oh my goodness, you've been waiting for 2 hours and I didn't even call. So the U is to uphold. The L is to lend, Lend. And it's basically to lend a hand. So now you have recognized, you have uphold, validated, acknowledge their feelings. Now you're going to lend a hand. What is it that you need? Do you see what I'm saying? So if you're just validating and it might not be done yet, and the person might continue their tagpo. So what do you need, honey? Let's say it's a partnership. Do you want me to um, sit with you? I haven't really eaten dinner, so I would love to have dinner with you. Ask them, what is the need behind the tampo, the feelings that they're um, feeling. The next is to entertain. So once all of these are done, and this could even take the next day or whenever, but the E is to entertain. You're going to entertain a new way of handling the situation in the future. For instance, it's hard for you to read the tampo. You could entertain or negotiate is another way to look at entertain. You could say, honey, you know what? When you do the tampo, it's really hard for me to read it, because I, I'm I'm from the Western world, for instance. Do you mind, you can even create a code name, so make it funny even, when you're tampo, I don't know, scratch your head really hard or something, or say a code name, um, or it could be just really like, um, if I ask you 3 times the same question and you don't respond, then that tells me you're tampo. Things like that. Be creative. So that's the entertain part. You're entertaining a new way, a negotiated way, so that both of your needs are met. The last one is our reconnect. This is when you do something to sustain that type of practice, that type of relationship. And so if you are going to be late, ways to reconnect the next day. It's like, oh, honey, I'm going to be running 10 minutes late, So kind of just having a practice. So to reconnect, to make this whole practice sustainable. So that's the ruler method. I think even if you're not Filipino, that communication can go a long, long way. And again, if you feel now, if you're in a very toxic relationship, um, this is a good start. You could also try it. You might be surprised, but there might be some support that you may need for. This is just a general framework. Try it out. If you're interested, the Pinoy Love Language, the 7 Pinoy Love Language, is a course. It has case studies. It has the 7 Pinoy Love Languages, and it keeps practicing the ruler method um, in the different case studies. So I'll talk to you soon. I hope this has been helpful. Ingat.